I think that what we'll see here in Tampa is Bruce's offense with a Brady influence. Bruce wants to keep the offense the same. Tom has been terrific as far as saying, just tell me what you want to do. We're looking forward to seeing how he can influence the offense. He'll make it better. That's what the great ones do. Hey, Coach, I'll start with you. Translate this for us. How is this all going to go down in Tampa?
Well, I don't think it's going to go as well as it could go. This should say this is a Brady offense with an Arians influence as opposed to the other way around. When you take a guy who's done something for 20 years and done it at a very high level, and you put him in a new environment, what you want to do is make him as comfortable as possible, as quickly as possible. And that means doing the things that he knows, the things that he understands, the things that he has the answers to, as opposed to forcing him to learn a bunch of new things and slowing down his thought process. It really doesn't make any sense. It happened with Miami when they brought in Dante Culpepper. And you saw the difference with Denver when they brought in Peyton Manning and catered the offense to things he does well. There's so many things Tom has to learn. It's not that he can't learn it. It's not that he's slow. It's just why not allow him to start as fast as he possibly can and be as effective as he possibly can right away.
So, Coach, I want to throw some numbers at you that I was trying to figure out on, like, can Tom Brady succeed? The first one is just like the long throws. Jameis did a lot of them, and Tom Brady didn't. These are the throws traveling 20-plus yards. Jameis was at 111. Brady was 12-64. So does this – I don't know if this means that Brady's going to be asked to throw twice as many long balls, and he's got another year of wear and tear in his arms if he can even make those throws. Then the other thing I'm really worried about, and I've been worried since day one because Tom Brady is close to my heart, is if Tom Brady is going to stay upright. Like they said, we're worried about arm strength. I'm less worried about his arm than I am his knees and hips and his shoulders and his back. I just want the guy to be upright. So look at these stats. Jameis took 47 sacks. Tom only took 27. Then Jameis is like, I'm out of here. Just scrambles for positive yards was 31. And Tom Brady's like, I'm not doing that. I've only run 3 times. And then interceptions 30. And I know the media likes to portray like Jameis just throwing the ball all over the place. But maybe some of those weren't his fault. We look at it like whereas 14 Jameis interceptions were when he was pressured. So basically these stats are very different from Tom Brady's stats. And is this, I don't know what I'm trying to ask you, is Jameis all at fault for his terrible statistics, or does Arians take some of the blame for that?
Yeah, statistics have to be shared between the coaches and the players. That everybody is responsible for. You know, some can be more responsible than others. But the genius and the success of Tom Brady in that system is you throw to the open player, and it doesn't matter whether he's a star. It doesn't matter how much he makes. It doesn't matter whether what your stats are. You just throw to the open guy. So if that means that you throw 10 hitches, which are little 6-yard stop routes, then you throw 10 hitches. That's why the offense works, and that's why it keeps rolling. And it's another reason why you stay upright, because it allows you to avoid pressure. It allows you to get quick decisions. If you're forcing things, if you're trying to generate things that aren't there, that's when you get hit a lot. That's when you throw interceptions. And that's when you make mistakes that you don't have to make. He does things well, and you should allow him to do those things as much as he wants to.
All right, Nick, so let's stick with that. An Arians offense with a Brady influence. And I guess this all depends on how much of an influence Brady is going to have. What is your reaction to all of this?
I understand why people's gut reaction would be, well, this is what they should do. You have a group of players, a couple dozen players who've been doing things one way, and you want to change as little as possible for them. You have a coach who's been doing things one way. You have then the new quarterback who also doubles as one of the smartest players in the history of the NFL. So you feel like it's easier for him to adapt than Chris Godwin or Mike Evans or O.J. Howard, whomever else, because Brady can consume more information, and you have this lack of an offseason where you're not going to be able to make wholesale changes to the offense. So you ask Tom Brady to be the person that changes more. I get in theory why that's what you would want to do. But in practicality, I think it is a terrible idea. If they ask Tom Brady to do what Jameis Winston did, just with fewer interceptions and more effectiveness, he won't make it to year 2 of this contract. He's 43 years old, but he's not a wizard. He's not. The idea that he can't get beaten up, that he can't get knocked out of the game if you ask him to take 5 and 7 step drops, stare in the face of pressure, like Bruce Arians asked Carson Palmer to do in Arizona, and get the snot beat out of him, then 2020 will be his only year with the Tampa Bay Bucs. And I know folks want to use the Christensen also brought up the Peyton Manning, second act of his career in Denver, and he talked about it, and I can read that quote to you. I think it's foolhardy for a few reasons. But when he talks about Peyton Manning, he says, you think back to what Peyton had in Denver, goes out, sets the NFL record for touchdown passes, reaches 2 Super Bowls, wins 1. I think that's very attractive to Tom. Peyton had fun at his second stop. He was able to turn that place around. I think Tom's excited about what he can do with Godwin and Evans. Here's the problem in that analogy. Peyton Manning, when he got to Denver, not only was he not 43 years old, when Peyton Manning got to Denver, he was Aaron Rodgers' age right now. Think about if Aaron Rodgers just got to Tampa, you'd say, oh, yeah, do exactly what at 36 years old we asked Jameis Winston to just be better. Tom is 7 years older than Peyton was when Peyton got to Denver. So just saying that he's going to have duplicable success or similar success, I think that's unrealistic. And I agree with Wildes wholeheartedly that the biggest concern for Tom is going to be the ability to not get beat up. And when Coach talks about those quick hitters, those quick hitches, you do look at this Bucs offense that has all these weapons. What they don't have is an Edelman. I know they brought in Gronk, but Gronk was out of football last year. And the year before that, when he played, he was 54th in the NFL in yards and 95th in touchdowns. Was not a great force multiplier for that Patriot team until the playoff run. So this is why I have them going 8-8, Jenna. This is why I don't buy into the Bucs Super Bowl hype. I don't know if the fit is there if you're asking Tom to run a Bruce Arians offense at age 43.
Then, Coach, let me ask you something else. One of the other things Christensen did say is that the idea that Brady has stellar arm strength, but he was held back in New England because he didn't have the same receiving core that he's going to have in Tampa is definitely an interesting one. So you have to wonder exactly what this balance is going to be. Is it going to be like what Nick said, what's best for this team and the pieces, or it's going to be what's best for Brady, keeping him healthy, what that balance is going to look like, Coach?
There's a couple things. Just to go back to Nick and talking about the analogy that they're making to Peyton Manning, the other part of that analogy that's flawed is Peyton looked for a team where he could do the things that he did in Indianapolis and did so well. And that was part of the agreement. And that's why he was as successful as he was. And look, in New York, I had Brett Favre when he left Green Bay, and Brett was open to running the things that we had been running and understood the dynamic of his learning versus the rest of the group's learning. But as a group, as a staff, we decided and we committed to making him as effective as possible. And that meant putting in the things that he was most comfortable with and he had the answers to. And that's what's going to happen in Tampa Bay. You can talk about he didn't have the weapons in New England. In New England, know what they did? They threw to the open guy. They did what was best to beat the team they were playing. It wasn't about numbers. It wasn't about we need to throw this many deep balls. That's not the philosophy. You've got a guy who's an older guy, who's not a mobile guy, and you want to make sure that when pressure comes, he knows where to go with the ball, that he's not standing back there and taking unnecessary hits, that you're able to protect the middle of the pocket like New England did year after year, so he's able to step up. If you don't do those things, then, load up your backup quarterback because he's going to be in pretty quickly.
Well, and that's why of all the numbers Wild showed, the one that I thought was most interesting was scrambles. That Jameis it said, you know what, duck and run 31 times last year, twice a game. Brady did it 3 times all season. I remember one of them vividly. One of them came on a key play in the fourth quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then he did a very emphatic first down, and it was all great, and then they threw an incompletion to lose the game at the end. But you can count on less than one hand how many times Tom ran last year. That is a factor when you're talking about what the Bucs are going to be able to do, and I think they need that slot receiver that they currently don't have. Last year it was Brashad Perriman, and he's gone now. So, that is one little hole on the offense, and I just think asking Tom Brady to be a 7-step drop, to, take hits to the, in the middle of his chest and hang in the pocket at 43 years old is unfair to him, and I don't know if it's a tenable long-term situation.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.